A man found dead inside a barrel at Malibu Lagoon State Beach has been identified. The coroner's office says the man is 32-year-old Javante Murphy.
The case might be connected to the murder of rapper Pop Smoke.
I'm still trying to process who could do this more than anything, because this seems personal.
TMZ is reporting that Murphy is the brother of one of the 5 people arrested for the 2020 murder of rapper Pop Smoke. He was killed during a robbery in the Hollywood Hills.
Imagine this. You're a Malibu beach lifeguard and you're just doing your job when you see something bobbing in the distance. A sealed 55-gallon barrel just in the water. So you do the right thing, you swim out to pull the hazard out of that water, but what you didn't know was inside that 55-gallon drum was a horrific scene, and opening it would start an investigation into the deaths of multiple rappers and spark a murder mystery that would shock the entire country.
TMZ says investigators are currently looking into the possibility that Murphy's murder might have been a retaliation killing for Pop Smoke's murder,
and begin a hunt for the killers who pulled off this mob-style hit that looked like something out of The Sopranos, if we're being honest. But this is what is actually happening right now, as the body of an aspiring rapper, Javante Murphy, was the one found in that barrel. Now, you probably have never heard of Javante, but you have probably heard of his brother.
We have more breaking news. The LAPD has just made several arrests in the shooting death of rapper Pop Smoke. 3 men and 2 teenagers have been arrested.
Jaquan was one of the men arrested in connection to the murder of Pop Smoke, who was one of the hottest artists in the game at the time of his death, who was killed in a home invasion robbery going completely wrong.
Yo, when I dropped flexing, I wasn't even going to drop flexing. I only dropped flexing because these, you know what I'm saying, little kept talking too much, you know what I'm trying to say.
So you did it for fun. It was more like
just sex, because, you know, they said I was going to die before that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say?
And according to reports that we now have, the police are looking into this connection, as in, was Javante unalive because his brother alleged involvement in the murder of Pop Smoke, which would take this already wild case of a young man's naked body being stuck in a barrel and left on a beach to something even more insane, like an organized gang hit. But if you think about it, it kind of makes the whole body in a barrel thing make a little bit more sense, considering Pop Smoke may or may not have been a well-known member of a particular gang. But look, we're gonna dive into what we know about Javante Murphy. Was he an innocent victim, or was he somehow involved as well? What happened to him, and was this retaliation for his brother killing a Grammy-nominated gang member? Well, we'll get into all of that, but first, I am Joe Stone, and this is the Church of Joe Stone podcast, where we find the most shocking and provocative news in the culture, and we take it to church. Now, Javante was a 32-year-old man with big dreams. He had a charismatic personality and a passion for music and his family, with his 10-year-old son even telling reporters after his passing what type of father he was.
My dad, he loved me very much. He would always play music in his car with me, joke around with me. He always talked about how he loved his family.
Javante grew up in South Central Los Angeles with 4 of his brothers, and according to a family friend, he had recently moved to an apartment in Skymar after the passing of his grandmother. Now, according to reports, Javante was not a gang member and was known as a good person with a unique personality. But in a haunting turn of events, Javante was found not in a recording studio or performing on stage, but eerily stuffed inside a sealed 55-gallon drum floating off the shores of Malibu Lagoon State Beach. And now, allegedly, police believe that this may be in retaliation to the murder of Pop Smoke. Now, no information has been released about the cause of death or the manner of death when it comes to the victim. But like we said, Jaquan Murphy, his brother, was one of the 5 people arrested in connection with the murder of Pop Smoke back in 2020.
Investigators are currently looking into the possibility that Murphy's murder might have been a retaliation killing for Pop Smoke's murder.
Yes, Javante's own brother. He was one of the 5 suspects apprehended in the aftermath of the crime, initially charged with attempted murder. Now, just to give you a little fresher of the story and what happened to Pop Smoke, he was tragically murdered in February 19th, 2020 in a botched home invasion. He was vacationing in LA and had been documenting his trip on social media, making a whole lot of posts and flexing, a mistake that would cost him his life. He accidentally revealed the address of his Airbnb, which was seen by a group of local teenagers who began plotting a robbery attempt. They used Google Maps and the real estate listing services to find out exactly where he was staying and planned to break in and to rob him him of his jewelry and other valuables. Well, that was the plan, but it didn't go that way. Around 4:30 a.m., the 5 hooded men broke into the home through a second-story balcony while Pop was in the shower. They first encountered a woman named Amelia Rose and held her at gunpoint, while they then went to confront the rapper while he was in the shower. Soon after, a tussle happened and Amelia heard them get into an altercation before the robbers shot the rapper 3 times. Police arrived minutes later and rushed Pop to the hospital, but he was pronounced dead just a few hours later at only 20 years old. Now, on July 9th, 2020, 3 adults and 2 minors were arrested in connection with this murder.
We have more breaking news. The LAPD has just made several arrests in the shooting death of rapper Pop Smoke.
There's a crazy twist to even that story, because while in police custody, the youngest of all the intruders, who was only 15 at the time, allegedly confessed to his cellmate that he had killed Pop Smoke and took off his diamond-studded Rolex, which they later sold for only $2,000. And yes, if you're in jail, you're supposed to stay quiet, not just to the police, but to other people in there, because, well, if you tell them that you did a crime, they can tell the police that you did the crime and they can get less time for themselves. How does all of this connect to the body that was washed up on the beach? Although Jaquan was not believed to be the one that pulled the trigger, Jaquan was one of the 5 men arrested in that murder, or at least in connection to it. And although he was later cleared of his crime, Jaquan wasn't exactly innocent, as he is now awaiting trial for an entirely separate murder case, painting a disturbing image of the life Javante's brother was entangled in. Now, to be honest, it's not entirely clear what evidence or what other things police are looking at that ties this barrel murder to the Pop Smoke case. We do know that this will be looked into in the investigation according to reports, especially with how popular Pop Smoke's was and how this looks targeted, not like some random thing that just happened. Like, there had to be a reason why you would go through all this trouble to do this to this man. It wasn't just about robbing him, he wasn't rich. So why would you do this? Well, the police suspect foul play because the barrel was shut and sealed and Javante was completely naked. Investigators believe the barrel was meant to be tossed into the ocean to dispose of the evidence and only ended up back on the beach because of the high tide. You see, the barrel was actually discovered by a maintenance worker who pulled it out onto the shore after paddling onto a kayak, although he did not open it. The following morning, a lifeguard at the beach discovered the barrel and decided to open it after realizing it was suspiciously heavy. That's when he discovered the body and contacted the police, who identified the victim as Javante Murray. Now, his former partner, Vanita Smith, says that Javante had just taken their son to basketball practice last week and seemed just fine, and then apparently went missing at some point. The family is heartbroken over the loss and has set up a GoFundMe to pay for a funeral and memorial. The police are still investigating, and like I said, we don't have a cause of death right now, and hopefully we will be able to keep you updated in the future, but it's still a lot to talk about, because although this may be a coincidence, it's still very likely that it could be retaliation, or who knows, an unrelated event that we have no idea about. This is the thing though, while listening to the partner of Javante, I really feel like she was trying to allude that this was something deeper and darker than maybe she had knowledge of, or at least suspected, falling in line with what police are probably thinking at this point. Again, this is not some type of random crime. It was obviously premeditated. This is not something you do when you just want to take a life or you just want to rob somebody. No, this is something you do when it's personal, when you're trying to get rid of the evidence, when you're trying to make somebody disappear, or you're trying to prove a point. I'm not saying that it has to have something to do with necessarily Pop Smoke, but whatever happened, it's deeper than just a guy happening to end up in a barrel. He didn't put himself there, and whoever did it is still at large. So I am curious to see how police are going to put together this case. They probably won't have much physical evidence on the outside of the barrel. It was left outside for days, and I'm pretty sure whoever went through all of this trouble wouldn't just leave their ID at the bottom of it. I mean, I guess that would be a lucky break, but I doubt it. But I'm sure with as much attention as this case is getting, and the possible tie to a Grammy-nominated rapper, I highly doubt that we won't hear the end of this. Either two things are gonna happen. The guy get off scot-free, or I feel like we'll find out pretty quickly who did it and why. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that this is something to do with Pop Smoke's murder? Do you think that it's not? Do you think that it's suspicious? Do you think that it's probably something we don't know? Some people say that maybe it was a crime of passion. Highly doubt that. But let us know what you think in the comments. And that's our story for the day. I am Joe Stone, and this is the Church of Joe Stone podcast. Where cool comes to pray. You come to stay and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another video coming your way, where we find the most shocking and provocative news and take it to church. I will see you in the next one. Bow.